name is Lucas Zito, and I've graduated last year from public-private, in which I tried to basically mix the public part and the private part. So I developed this system, many systems actually, mainly inspired by the Stasi Health system and the FAN system in Berlin, in Germany. And the idea was to be able to collect as many waste as possible, and instead of just recycle them, give them back so they have some value. The most important for me is that we keep in mind that something, as long as it's physical and it's here, it has some value. As little as it can be, it still has some value. So I wanted to apply this to probably the most disgusting thing ever, the cigarette filters. It's really like the illustration of all of the bad habits. You don't want to deal with it, and it's the most abundant waste. There's even more cigarette filters than plastic bottles. So I was thinking, what if they have a value, like 5 cents, 1 cent, and then somebody can pick them up and then get that value back. So that would be a social system where people can get like a supplemental income when they need it. And the people who pollute, basically, they just throw their money on the floor, so it's like a punishment. And next to that, I tried to develop a recycling system where you can basically reintroduce that same material, the cellulose acetate, in the market, in the industry, because it's mainly made from cellulose. And the problem is that we cut down trees for that. So basically, we cut some tree, and then we make something with it, and then we throw it on the floor. It doesn't really make sense. So the idea is just to have something like a loop, a closed loop. I don't care if people smoke, but it's just a matter of consuming more responsibly. Yeah. So the time after graduation was a funny thing, because I think many of us, after these 4 to 5 years, depending on the people, it was very tiring, so we had to take some rest. And so I took some time to rest, basically until the Dutch Design Week. And after the Dutch Design Week, I've been solicited many times, and so I've been urged to create this machine, which I didn't really plan to. So I had this sort of deal with my parents that I can come back home and then focus on building the machine. So this is what I've been doing since the end. And the hardest part was, of course, the Corona, which kind of, all of the parts I had to buy, I got them from China, and then I couldn't because it was forbidden. So yeah, it was a hard time. It was just not really hard, but really slow. And so obviously, if it's slow, you're stressing about the fact that you want to be more active and more professional, and then earn your life. And it was a bit complicated, but also it gave me a lot of time to think and mature my ideas. So I think it's like a double-edged sword in the end. It was not such a bad thing that happened. I'm comfortable with the situation. I think the biggest challenge is the fact that when you're not in school anymore, you really pay for your mistakes. You pay for your time. The materiality becomes much more a problem because it's not infinite anymore. There's way less room for mistakes. So this is, I'd say, one of the biggest constraints I have. But it's also really motivating. You're learning faster and you're thinking more. But it's definitely a big challenge. I think it's this. Yeah, going because before that, during my graduation, it was only theory. Things I was thinking that might work or might not. And I think the biggest achievement is seeing that they really work in the end. So I'm really proud that all of these things I thought ahead, finally, they were not so wrong. So it's also why I'm confident that I don't really need an engineer for the time being. And then eventually later I might have to get some more professional help. But yeah, I'm proud of it. Well, I think because, the lockdown induced by the COVID-19, I think for many people it was hard. So I'm quite lucky that it wasn't so hard because I was in a comfortable place, and it just really stimulated my creativity. So during those 2 months and a half, I didn't work that much on the project. I took the time to work on other things, and I've really made some progress in many different skills I thought I had, and now I'm sure I have them. I mean, as long as you have a way to exteriorize your creativity, because you cannot go out, you cannot exercise really, you cannot see people. So having creativity on the side is good to survive, at least for a designer during COVID, the lockdown. Yeah. I think I think it's not a big dream, but it's a plan. I'd like to work with people, not on my own. Have like some sort, not necessarily a multidisciplinary studio, but more like a studio or a group, collective, where we are a few designers and we're all complementary, and that we can, that it's very tiring that you have to push your own skills to the maximum all the time, and if you can rely on the skills of someone and then mine and then somebody else, it's really cohesive and that's really nice. So I think a big plan for the future would be able to deal with many projects at the same time, many different projects, so one feed on each other, they bring stuff to each other, and possibly outside of Paris, maybe in the Netherlands. I'd like to come back, I think. I would pay me on all the money I spent on the machine and possibly reinvest in another project, in the second project of the graduation, which for the moment is in the closet, but for me also has some potential and is also more accessible for people. It's way less information, it's way more tactile and physical, so yeah, I think invest in more projects basically.